Hello, LinkedIn. Happy Thursday night. I have music playing in my ear still from hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining me. Here I am sitting here all by myself. And look at this logo. DAM. Well, right now it is only M. I am missing my partner in crime. I wonder if there was, he's a busy guy. He is a mover and a shaker, that Dan Ray. And so but I know that his audience is important to him. So I wonder if I could track him down somewhere. And I'm going to pull him in. LinkedIn, do you think I should pull Dan Ray into this conversation somewhere? Go ahead. Dan Ray!
How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm so happy you are here, my friend. Tell us, before we ask everybody watching where they are joining from, where are you joining from?
I'm in England. I'm driving at the moment.
That can't possibly be safe.
We're in Illinois, so my wife is driving, but we are headed to a celebration of a number of graduations that are happening in our family. So this Thursday I am in transit, but didn't want to miss this opportunity, Mark.
Well, thanks so much for being here and still joining us. We have a super exciting show. We have some things to talk about. You're going to give us a quick update on some things that we've talked about in past episodes. And for the very first time, we are going to be joined by an amazing special guest, so can't wait to get to him. We're going to talk about Microsoft Teams and all sorts of things that you may not know about Microsoft Teams, and I'm looking forward to sharing that. But folks, share with me share with us where you hail from. I know a few folks are Central Florida. Is in the house. David Berry, thank you so much for being here. Myrtle Beach, wow, very nice. But the weather's beautiful there, Myrtle Beach. Suku from Denver. Suku, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you here. Peter is joining us. Peter, it's still in Chicago. Chicago. So where LaGrange, yeah, Chicago. Thank you, Peter. Oh, really appreciate everybody being here. Dan, how about you share with us some things some new and interesting things that have been going on with you in regards to some of the things that we've talked about in recent episodes?
Yeah, so we've spoken about LinkedIn Creators Mode, and I still don't have it. I escalated through a option with support to see if I could get Creator Mode turned on, and unfortunately, I still do not have it. But one of my contacts on LinkedIn shared that they have the cover story, which is a video version of your profile photo. So where your profile photo shows up, a video can be played there, similar to other platforms where you have a video message option. And by watching Luke Matthews, I was able to, from his, record my own cover story. And now I have a video, which is part of what Creator Mode brings to your profile. But our understanding is it brings a lot more to your profile than just that cover story. So if you have an opportunity to check out my profile and you have the update or portions of the update, you should be able to see my cover story, which is a short video of me outside of a local restaurant in DeKalb, Illinois. And I'm traveling to Decatur, Illinois. And so you can see all sorts of farmland and scenery behind me in the car here.
And who does not like farmland and scenery? So thank you.
It's not even a virtual background today.
That's right.
That's a real sun.
That's very cool. I too don't have creators mode yet, but I don't even have I don't have video profiles yet. But I'm excited, even though I was the first amongst you and I, to get LinkedIn Live. It sounds like you're the first to get video profiles. I am just now getting LinkedIn stories. So it's really interesting how they've been rolling out these features very slowly and not necessarily in a predictable order. So
maybe between the two of us,
we have
we'll
one good profile.
Have a creator mode.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks for that update. We want to, from here, we're going to transition because tonight is a very special night. This is the first time on the best damn show on video that we're going to be joined by a guest. And guest is somebody very near and dear to this program. So LinkedIn, please give a warm welcome, shout out in the comments to, you know him, you love him, Mr. Mark Litwin. Mark, thanks for joining from Central Florida, my friend. How are you?
I even remembered to unmute for this occasion, so it's a pretty big deal.
It's a big step. So, and you joined seamlessly, like you've done this before. So thanks for being here. Oh, I see the love coming in on LinkedIn.
That's actually just me doing it.
Well, I insert comment about, no, I won't even go there. So, well, thanks for being here, Mark. Dan and I have had a chance to share what it is that we do. How about you share with the fantastic LinkedIn audience a little bit about yourself, perhaps how we may know you.
Yeah. So Mark actually bailed me out of jail. No. So I am at Microsoft, what's called a Teams technical specialist. Oh, and I get the full screen. That's awesome. My head looks really big. So I help customers get teams deployed, use all the features and functionality and voice and meetings and policies and all that nerdy kind of fun stuff that makes it run. So, it's a pretty cool job. I get to meet with customers all day and really help them get the most out of Teams. So I love the product.
Fantastic. And you're Central Florida. You're down in Orlando, and dressed appropriately, of course.
Yeah, so this is the hats of all the Disney characters. So my screen's backwards, but this is like Jafar and Goofy's hat, and I think Donald's is in there. So it's a great shirt. I believe it was the $49.99 at the Disney store. So.
in case the watchers are in the in the market for a new Disney shirt, only $49.99 at the Disney.
That's Woody from Toy Story and Jafar and Aladdin, the whole gang. It's a great shirt.
Well, we'll share just a little bit of the backstory. Mark, Dan, and I actually all work together, and even Peter, who's joining us on watching, shout out. But we were all colleagues at Microsoft at one time. And congratulations to Mark for being the one left standing. So Dan and I we've since moved on, but Mark is still there holding down the fort.
It is true. I used to be in Chicago, moved down here to Orlando. Most of the times I watch this live stream, it is from Disney World. So it's nice to be at a computer tonight.
Yeah. Well, being a Teams specialist, you must know a thing or two about Microsoft Teams. So what we would love to share, we'd love to hear about, let's not necessarily assume that everybody is familiar with Teams, but we're not going to go through the ins and outs, the sort of more common known things that people should be familiar with. But we asked you to come on to share some things that we might not know, or some recent updates, things like that we should start to take advantage of in our next Teams meetings.
Yeah, so I thought I would show a little bit, around the, Teams is the whole platform. I know, Teams, we get so hyper focused on, look at some of the tech blogs out there and, Teams versus whatever product, what's great for meetings, blah, blah, blah. And, I know you, Mark and Dan, what's your favorite part of, looking at your calendar and seeing 8 meetings in the day?
Seeing them.
Yeah.
Favorite part?
Yeah, favorite part. So, most people are like that, right? Like, we really don't like meetings because it's not where our work gets done, but yet we do all this investment in this laser focus on meetings. And I know when I have 8 meetings in a day that are, all an hour, I'm like, wow, how can I make my appendix explode? But, there's so much more to work than that, and that's kind of what I want to show within the Teams platform.
Beyond the video conferencing, which you're right, does get a lot of the attention, or people are most familiar with it because that's they're sitting on those calls probably, as you're saying, more often than we would like in any given day. But it's what about the collaboration and sharing of information and actually getting work done, which is a real strength of Microsoft Teams. So I'd love to hear more about some of the things that have been going on.
Sure. So I have a couple slides again, just to make it easy. I know a lot of people who are on this live stream live and breathe within Teams, but I want to show a couple things I think that are really geared towards this world we're in today around, we all talk about working from home and just what return to work might look like, but there's so much more than that. And how do you bring that culture of your company and, the things that you used to do to this, remote environment? And it's, something that technology certainly plays a part in in helping with. Certainly a lot bigger than just technology. You don't want to minimize it to that, but I'm going to show a few things in Teams that we're focusing on that will definitely help with the transition there, and then just some cool features. My slides didn't move. That would have been a really cool transition if the slides moved, though I thought they were. First thing, we have, I'm sure all of you in the tech world have heard of, the different Viva products that Microsoft has talked about in the last few months. And it might be a bit confusing unless you've, had a long talk with your account team on what's going on there. And the one I have on the screen now is called Viva Connections. And I'm sure a lot of people at first glance are like, yeah, okay, we have our SharePoint intranet inside of Teams. Who cares? We've been doing that for a while, or, why would I want to do that? And this is actually one of the, I thought was, the big difference between when I used to go into an office and meet with customers and, really get involved in that Microsoft environment. We have a beautiful office in Tampa here that, people just go to. It's, 3 sides on the golf there. It's, it's a great place to hang out, and you really get to, see what's going on, talk to your peers. And that was something we missed out on. And once they deployed this, at least internally to Microsoft, it was, just became a part of my day that I could view the intranet and, see all of the content and what Microsoft's doing. And, our intranet, it's, a lot of great content on what Microsoft's doing in the the world, bigger than just what we might see in our very narrow view into some news alerts or whatever. Helping with some of the pandemic stuff in India was on there today, and some of the accessibility stuff. It's all been released in different things in the news, but it's actually a big part of our life and our culture. And I think every organization is the same way, right? And when you're working from home, you just don't have the same experience. So being able to have that intranet's a big part of it. And then you see across the top here, we have the this search bar inside of Teams. Where this is going is you'll actually be able to search all of your content, whether it's in Teams or your intranet, or you don't have to think about where you are. I want to look for a file or whatever. Be able to populate so your search in there. It'll use all the cool intelligence of the graph, and not only just find files for you, but give you one spot where you can look for everything. So pretty cool there.
Yeah.
Another area. Go ahead,
sorry,
sir.
Mark. I'm going to jump in and ask. So what you're showing here is just really the bringing together of all the content that I care about, both inside the organization and within the team, my direct team that I collaborate with, as well as being able to pull from my own personal content as well, my personal work content, but have that all gathered together in one spot for me. Is that right?
Yeah, and that's a great way to describe it, right? If you remember the early days of how all this came together, we talked about our, rings of people that we would talk to, my outer ring of my, just people that I might share a title with or don't really collaborate that frequently with, and my inner ring, my team, my, close workmates. And that was just super confusing, right? I didn't want to have to think about if, I was searching for content from someone I knew versus someone I may just share, some common attributes with. And this brings that all together, both from the intranet and if you've heard of the Yammer Communities app, that's another area that will all be integrated into this, where, again, you don't really have to think about where the content is, let the Office graph and the intelligence, and the AI behind it do all of that work. You just know you want to search for something, find a search bar, and it'll, transgress all those areas for you.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah. Next area is around, learning. This is our Viva Learning module. And another, just super important part of our work now. It's, at Microsoft, we used to have these conferences where we'd go to for training, and, a couple times a year, depending on, how they drew your name out of a hat or whatever. But, it was a huge part, again, of our culture and just who we were. Technical training is super important at Microsoft, but in every industry, right? Your clinical staff in healthcare, your people doing maintenance on machinery and in manufacturing or retail, keeping your associates up to date on PCI standards, and it goes across every industry, whether it's your frontline workers who are probably the most important to have this kind of training, or even your most senior of folks who already know everything, but need some refreshers and some maybe reminders on things. Another area, bringing it right into teams and kind of pulling together a few different systems, both your corporate LMS. We're not trying to replace what's done there. Super important for compliance and regulatory things in some industries to have tracking of training and attestations. Wow, didn't pronounce that right, but there's so much more than that formal training, right? I just want to learn about Teams, or I want to learn about Project PowerPoint, whatever. And so this kind of blends all that together into one interface. So you don't again need to think about I'm going to this portal for this training and this portal for something else, and I have my learning pathways here. Another cool way there.
Yeah, so Mark, I mean, we're all used to the YouTube being able to find a video on anything that I could ever possibly want. Is this the same type of thing where I could not only have that formal learning management content that you're talking about that may be created either by outside organization or my marketing team, but also be able to curate that user-driven learning content as well?
Yeah, that's exactly the purpose behind it, right? There's just so much in a corporate environment, and why should the user have to be burdened with thinking about which portal they're going to go to for which content? And especially as again, remote work, we're living inside of Teams and other technology solutions out there. They've become super important, and right, how do we bring that to our users and make sure they're getting the most out of the investments we've made in these technologies?
I wonder how standards of business conduct, I think they're on season 5. Is that correct?
Yeah, does any of that leak outside of the Microsoft world? Because it's something. Yeah.
It's like a Netflix series. Very well done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah.
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, for those that, I assume you're a pretty heavy Microsoft audience here, but every time we have our standards of business conduct training, and they have these stories of what not to do in the environment. It's it's kind of amazing that how bad do you have to do something to make that video, and not bad enough that you went to jail, but you can still come back and do the video. But you don't work there anymore. It's got to be an interesting blend in decision process.
Yeah, I was always disappointed they didn't pick me to be in one of those videos, but
that's why Mark and I left, right?
Yeah. Next time.
Well, and I also am, when I see those, I'm fortunate that I don't really have access to any of the the data that could get me in that kind of trouble, the insider trading scenarios, or the writing code that needs privacy reviews, and sending unsolicited emails and that sort of thing, where people didn't consent to certain things. So it's super important stuff. Just very humbling to see it sometimes.
Yeah.
So this is the probably the coolest thing I think we're doing from Microsoft's perspective for the current work state we're in. I think we've all kind of seen some of the emails or the things inside of Outlook where it knows you sent an email to someone that may have required action, and how do you track that, right? Everyone has their own system, right? Some people create tasks, some people, flag the email, some just leave it in their inbox. And, everyone has a little bit different way, but you've been kind of on your own to do that through history, right? No one comes in and tells you how to manage your email. Well, no one uses email anymore, right? Or, it's definitely transitioning to other modalities, people who are joining your workplace, from college or, interns or whatever, really don't like email. And now that we've transitioned to, organizations, at least that have transitioned to using Teams, our, chat becomes a lot more important. And how do we track follow-ups for that, right? It's a whole different world. You can't flag a chat. I wish you could. So another, great opportunity for the cloud to step in and help, and we certainly are delivering there. So this is Viva Insights, and this is kind of that evolution of the email reminders, where again it looks at your chats and your even your meetings are coming, where it'll say, okay, we had this conversation, we shared this file, but you didn't read this file, and just flag some things to help you keep track of who you're collaborating with, and make sure you're staying on top of what you should there. And go ahead, sir.
Sorry, I was just going to share. I mean, when this, I'm a Microsoft Outlook user, surprise, surprise. But, I get these daily reminder emails now of, just as you said, things that I've emailed that I've sent off saying, I'll follow up with you next week, or next Thursday, I'll send you something, or whatever it may be. And it has saved my rear on more than one occasion to be able to get that daily reminder of, hey, by the way, you told Dan that you would send him this document. And so it's nice to see that happening across other modalities or across other types of communication. And I need much more of this in my life.
I'm amazed at how smart it is. And, again, totally biased Microsoft employee, but when I send the follow-up, it seems to know. And when I don't, it seems to remind me very appropriately. And I can't think of, maybe on one hand, the number of times it's been wrong when it suggested something. And, as in my role, there's a lot of follow-ups we have to do. So it's good.
I've never gotten a promotion or a credential for being better at email management. It's like a fire hose, it keeps on coming. But being able to pull out those nuggets, like you said, Mark, both Marks, where here's follow-up or here's an attachment you might have missed, I find those helpful too.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, and do appreciate so for those who don't know, Mark and Mark, we covered the entire state of Wisconsin for many years together and had many meetings together, and it got super confusing, and customers really made fun of us. Like, does anyone work at Microsoft that's not named Mark? But we had a great person we work with, Mr. Joe Steiner, and wow, Dan just dropped his phone.
Imagine that.
So,
my goodness, that's all it was.
Well, I don't know if anyone's been watching, but you do see, that car passes a lot of other people on the road there. So, hopefully we don't go upside down or something. Which would be okay. You got the seatbelt on.
Yeah, we won't share the speedometer.
So this last one I want to talk about, at least in this part of it, is around, we called it the virtual commute. And the problem it's solving is super interesting if you think about it, right? When we all went into an office, we all kind of had the one thing we had to do before we left, or I want to send this email, or I need to just finish up this project, or whatever it was. And it was just a whole different world, right? Because, I wanted to get on the road before traffic hit, but I needed to do these few tasks in my whatever workflow I used. And that's something we all lost, a little over a year ago now, right? It was, okay, I'll work till 10 at night, whatever, it doesn't matter. Not going anywhere. But it did start to get on people, I think we all got a little, I don't know what the right word for it might be, but, just it's different and it takes time to evolve, and we like our own ways, I guess. So there's another thing Teams is bringing around your virtual commute. And not only is it helping you kind of close out your day and finish up what you're doing, but it's also sending you reminders on, hey, you've been sitting at your computer for 6 hours. Go outside, breathe some fresh air, that kind of thing. Take a break. Stop meeting with people. Block off your calendar. Maybe it's not quite that rude, but it actually gives you some really good insights. Like, hey, your Wednesday's full. Block off some time so you don't have those 8 meetings in a row. And again, it's pretty good from what I've seen so far. It's not all fully rolled out and baked yet, but the few parts that remind you to do the little break. I think they call it breathing or something. It's actually pretty timely. My calendar fills up. I have meetings from 8 to 2 o'clock or something. It alerts me, and it's great. It helps.
Yeah, I actually find this super helpful. Again, I'm seeing it inside of Outlook already, in that it recognizes that I've blocked my entire morning with various meetings, and so it will prompt me and suggest different, some time in the afternoon for focus time or for planning for the next day, and ask me if I want to add that to my calendar so that it blocks off that piece of the calendar so nobody else can schedule over the top of it. So I do find it super important, and I look forward to the day that you were talking about the end of the day. You've been here all day. Now it's time for you to go home. I want the Matthew Broderick at the end of Ferris Bueller to pop up and just have my PC start saying, "You're still here? Go on, go home, go." Why? So that's what that's ultimately what I'm looking for.
My wife gets a lot of work in email where she needs focus time to get the answers, and so she'll take those emails and drag them to her calendar in Outlook, and it immediately allows her to block off the time she needs to do that research and respond to people. So that's a trick I learned from her, and just watching how she works and her workflow.
I hadn't heard that one before, and it is amazing. I talked about it a little bit ago, but everyone has a different workflow for how they manage their email, and there's no right or wrong answers. But this is a great set of technologies here that'll really help manage both where we are and where we need to be. And it's super frustrating when, we talk to customers who are a little, creeped out by some of the privacy implications of it. And, again, Microsoft has strong commitments there. We're not bubbling this up to people's managers or, really doing anything besides trying to be proactive and helping an employee have a little bit better experience with the, constraints that we have in the world today. But it really is changing how we work and for the better, and a small part of a bigger problem.
Totally agree.
So, Mark, I'll ask you to. I'm not sure if you had more to share. This is fantastic. But while I'm thinking of it, ask you to read the tea leaves a little bit about, you're talking about the virtual workspace, and so much of what we've done over the past year has driven us into much more virtual type of working. But from your conversations with customers and based on the investments Microsoft is making, things like that, where do you see this going over the next 6 months, a year and a half? What are your customers telling you about their return to work? What might that look like?
It is very interesting, and there are some extremely strong opinions on it, as I'm sure everyone can imagine. And, both from the we're never going to return to work, we're selling our real estate and, going to remain virtual forever. And many still, even through the last year, have gone into the office and, just did it safely with some, different protocols and that. And there's everything in between. And it's a little strange, but right, it will be different, right? In my role with Microsoft, I wouldn't expect people are going to come into the office to meet with, some random guy from Microsoft. I'm hoping, we can still do some of the bigger events at our technology centers and, executive briefings and that sort of thing. And that'll, be enough reason for people to come in. But, for a 1 hour meeting where we, demo some things, I don't know if that's, going to change. And the other component too is where we hire our talent from now. It's a bigger pool. And if you don't live where your company is, how does that change? And is it temporary? Is it permanent? Is it, I believe Miss Melissa Mayer and Yahoo went through this a few years ago where they said, okay, we're all remote. That's not working. Everyone has to come in. We need to have that collaboration together. And that was some mixed reaction there. But will we get to that point in a few years where it's just, okay, we need to see each other. We need to drive some innovation and be together to do that.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting as we continue. Of course, a lot depends on what continues to happen in the world, and hopefully it continues to improve. And even for parts of the world where right now it's not improving, but so we get to a point where we have that opportunity to make a choice. But I think that certainly I'm glad to hear a lot of the things that are going on, at least within Microsoft Teams, to make it possible that even if I'm virtual, I'm still connected to the people that I work with and still able to collaborate very effectively.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting few months, and Teams is certainly a very small part of it. It's I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking forward to the day we can shake hands with a customer again and have some familiarity with what worked in the past, and you weren't just a random guy over a video call with a patched hole in their wall. It's over there.
Well, and it's what you miss, right? For the last year, we haven't had those options. So I had in my career too much travel, made some adjustments going back to Microsoft where I was traveling a lot less than I was in a previous role at another company. But then now that I'm not traveling at all, I miss the travel. So it's swung on that, too much travel, a little travel, and now no travel. Need something in the middle.
Is that why you chose to be traveling for this particular live stream?
Exactly.
You just
exactly.
asked your wife
Eva,
to drive
the best example would probably be us driving somewhere.
Yes. Yeah, it was a little hard to take you seriously talking about no travel whatsoever from your car with cornfields speeding behind you. But I got what you meant.
That is one thing though.
Return to family.
Yeah.
At least here in the Orlando area, they're still doing schools, but traffic's down a lot, and places that used to have horrible traffic or around school pickup time and drop off time just because attendance is down 50% or whatever. It's you don't have any of that anymore. It's going to be a bit of a wake up call probably in fall when everyone's back, but we'll get used to it. It's amazing how a few schools really do it.
Yeah. Mark, certainly appreciate you taking the time to be here, to be our very first guest on the program. I think you knocked it out of the park, my friend. You won yourself a trip to Disney World.
Well, we'll have to look at the comments to see if there'll ever be another guest on the damn show or whatever we're calling it, but you're calling it. But hopefully it's not too bad and you don't regret this.
Not at all. You did great.
Not at all. And not just the damn show, the best damn show on video. Yeah. Very cool, Mark. So Dan and I will wrap up, but thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Bye.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Well, that was a lot of fun. And
that certainly was.
Yeah, it's very informative. It is really interesting to see this continued investment on blurring the lines between virtual and in person, and so that we can be effective no matter how it is that our our work setup allows us to be, and we don't have to lose productivity just because we're not in the office.
Yep.
Oh,
And next week we'll have to figure out if we're inviting somebody else, or maybe we'll see in
yes.
the comments
Yeah.
other folks we could invite to the call here.
Or next week we'll figure out where Dan is going to have his wife drive him to.
Yeah, we'll make this a recurring segment.
I like that a lot. Where in the world is Dan? So, well, my friend, continue to travel safely, you and your family. Thank you, LinkedIn, so much for being here. Carol, David, Peter, Mark, of course, thank you for taking the time to be a guest tonight. Lots of other folks. Suku, thanks for joining in as well. And we look forward to another episode next Thursday at 7 p.m. Central. We'll be sharing more updates on what you can do with video to be more effective, to connect, collaborate, and maybe even make some money. Oh, have a great night, everyone. And Dan, my friend, travel safe.
Thanks, Mark.